Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, this is Commissar, and welcome to my brand new channel, KommiGaming. Today, I'm going to kick things off on this new channel with some good old-fashioned Starcraft 2, and today's professional match happens to be between none other than Team Liquid's HayprO, our Red Zogue player spotting in the bottom left-hand side of the map today, and his opponent is none other than an unknown Korean player, whose name we evidently don't know. What does this mean? He could be any pro Terran player. He could be semi-pro. We don't know what level he's at, but he's obviously at a level that is good enough to play HayprO. And HayprO, being rank 1 in his own Master League in this server, at about 55% wins, is doing very well on the Korean server. I say this as most players struggle to perform very well. A lot of pro players don't actually make Grandmasters on this server, and HayprO, being at rank 1 Master League, is evidently at the Grandmaster League level on Korea, which you'd probably expect of a Team Liquid member, by the way. But yeah, obviously his opponent is going to be top-notch, as tend to be most players of that level on the Korean server. Okay, so the Terran player is up in the top right-hand side of the map, and he is going for a, well, we don't know what he's going for yet, but we'll have to wait and see, and he appears to be scouting at the same time that he sends out his barracks across the map. We do have a, well, I think there's only 2 spotting positions on this map that are available, so both players know where each other are from the get-go, I believe. I believe I'm correct in saying that. And, yes, we definitely are. I remember playing on this map a bunch of times, and we appear to see some sort of 2 racks opening, the Mega racks opening from our Korean player, and that is not very common to see anymore, simply because it's just gone out of fashion a bit. Zogs have gotten used to holding it off, but anything's possible, because I mean, HayprO, if you look at his side of the field, he hasn't made a, well, now he's making a spawning pool, but he went 15 hatch, which is when this build tends to shine for our, for our Terran player. Of course, there will need to be bunkers for this to work, and it will be hard to get up bunkers without them being beaten away by drones or Zuggins, whatever is out in time. But should the Marines be at the base of HayprO before he can actually deny a bunker, it'll be an interesting situation to see. The main aim, of course, of this sort of attack would be to kill a bunch of drones, perhaps deny the natural, but really you would not expect more than a couple of drone kills at best. Of course, it can win games by doing sufficient damage early on, and a proxy as a Terran is not a big commitment, as you can always fly back to your base, but this build has been around for ages, so I won't introduce it too heavily. You will see a lack of gas typical of this style as well, coming out of our Terran player. And oh, HayprO is saving up a lot of money here. I believe he may not have been sure of what was going on, maybe saving up for a quick third, but he is now definitely aware of what's going on. He does see it with his Overlord, and as such pulling almost every single drone, leaving only a couple to mine back at base, about 5 to mine back at base, and as such the first bunker is shut down. The Marines probably going to make a push regardless though, as there are 2 racks, not a single racks on the field, although we do see HayprO now with a bunch of Zuggins, not enough to hold off the Marines yet, but once this spine gets up, he should be okay, and meanwhile he is pulling a lot of drones, he is prepared for this, and this is what I was talking about. The Zogs are used to holding up these types of attacks, they tend to do it very, very cleanly and crisply at the moment, and as such, the best that we can see for our Terran player is a few worker kills, but remember, he's had 2 SCVs off the line the entire time. So if anything, the economic damage has so far been dealt to our Terran player, who is, yeah, he's, well, he has 3 workers ahead, because he has prevented drone production for quite some time from HayprO, but at the moment things are looking pretty good for the, well, for HayprO in terms of his defense, and he is comfortably droning up yet again. Okay, so he may need actually a couple, maybe another spine to hold this up comfortably. I would not cut any more drones if I were him, but realistically, nothing much is going to happen from this attack. With the spine there, with quite a number of lings, and no bunkers going to have any chance of making it, it's going to be up to these SCBs that appear to be going all in for our Terran player, almost all the way across the map already, and this is going to be one big push. Can the spine, can the lings, can the drones of HayprO hold it? There's a second spine up so crucially, which the Terran player did not see, and you can see all the units coming in for a surround on the Marines of our of the Terran player. They are all being taken out, but at the same time, all of HayprO's units are going down, and you'll see almost nothing remaining for HayprO. All he has left is the drones inside of his main base. Trollblings are on the way, has to stall until they arrive. Until then, he has 2 queens with their upgraded range recently, and oh, here come the drones in the backside. We do see 1 queen going down straight away. The second queen almost going down. Here come the lings though. This should be enough to hold on for the time being. The question is, who has taken the biggest beating out of all this? as both players seem to have almost no harvesters remaining on the field at the moment. More and more lings being produced, not even comfortable enough to drone up yet. But now look at the game. A very, very odd game indeed. What a way to start things off for the channel. No, I have not pre-watched it. It is just a pretty insane start. And that is now 11 harvesters to 9 in favor of HayprO. But in saying that, we do have mules for our turn player, so he will have a higher income for the time being when he starts schooling in those mules. And yeah, until then it will just be a matter of well, I think it'll be a matter of droning for quite some time and SCV production for quite some time for our Terran. Okay, so in the middle of the map we are seeing an engagement between a few straggler marines and a bunch of lings, and it looks like it's not the worst trade for the Terran, but it's going to favour HayprO due to his sheer numbers, but the starter set micro is impressive from our Terran player. And you also the units last tab though does indeed favour HayprO. Oh, a nice marine on the low ground. Gonna pick up one ling, maybe gonna get the second with the focus firing, and yes, gonna get a second, I think, and a third perhaps. That marine paid for itself, unlike most of his friends. And yeah, although that marine is not going to get a single kill, I believe. Maybe gonna get one, depending on the focus firing, not even one. So really, our Terran player needs to go back to base, and that is exactly what he is doing with his barracks. Units last have, of course, favouring HayprO at this stage. The only thing that really matters, though, is the worker supply, and that is starting to heavily favour HayprO. As you can see, this game is starting to heavily favour HayprO overall. Okay, so the important thing to note is that our Terran can't really apply pressure for quite some time, except perhaps with more marines. Unlikely to work, though, as he does now only have one barracks producing until this guy lands over here, which he will do in no time at all. There is an expand going down for our Terran player, so he is going to keep himself in the game. He is by no means out of the game, although HayprO certainly will be feeling pretty happy after making his early game hold. HayprO anticipating a cheesy all-in follow-up, because he really anticipates that perhaps the Terran player is too far behind to play a macro game, is going for a 3-spine, well, 3 spines at the front with 2 queens, and that's a very nice defense. It'll certainly shut down these 4 marines, these 5 marines, and while creep tumor was cancelled, that isn't even limiting creep spread at all, because he can just respread that creep off the same tumor. So really, no damage really remains back to HayprO. I mean, sorry, HayprO is pretty safe from now. I mean, he has his natural saved, he's mining gas, he'll be ahead, probably going to be ahead on tech very soon compared to his opponent. And as such, he's free to drone up, possibly to take a quick third, even making a macro hatch at the front, possibly going for a partial wall in even. And meanwhile, we do see our Terran player is going for a ton of stuff. What do I mean by that? It appears that he is going for a heavy barracks player. And an interesting little bit of metagame that's been going on the Korean server lately is that people have been switching up the way they've been playing. What do I mean by this? I mean Marine Marauder medevac has become, for some reason, very fashionable lately, with siege tank play sort of fading a little bit in TVZ. I don't want to say completely, by no means is it complete. The Korean server still favors tank plays overall, but barracks plays are becoming very viable. Why? Because they're so mobile, and the idea is that if you continually pressure your opponent, if you keep dropping him, you keep pressuring him throughout the early and mid game, even into the late game, you can go Marine Marauder medevac. You just cannot sit tight and be immobile and turtle up, as many Terrans have loved to do for so long, if you go Marine Marauder medevac in this matchup, but it is certainly viable to go for the build of Marine Marauder medevac without tanks in this matchup, despite what people have been doing for so long. And we may see a nice overload pick up here by our Terran player. He is indeed lifting his orbital to make sure he gets that snipe. A very clever play by him. Good use of that lift up ability. And that is going to help that Terran player quite nicely, as he needs every edge he can get to get back into this game. Looking over at the HayprO camp, banelings are finished, the lair is on the way, a bunch of gas is being saved up with 4 gas guys being mined from, and the third is being secured all at the same time. Importantly, the Terran player, I will note, has actually followed up his initial cheese. It wasn't all in, but it sort of worked to the point where it was even afterwards. He has gone to quick 3 bases, he needs the mules to recover his economy, he needs the SCV production, and he needs that economy. As a result, that's about the best possible follow-up he could do, even getting +1 upgrades on his marines, stim and combat shield all together to make his force that much more potent in this game. Okay, so we do see the third base. Will it be pressured? It hasn't even been scouted. I'm not quite sure yet. As we do see, it's about to be scouted. So it may be taken out here. We'll have to wait and see. The Baneling hits will be crucial in this battle, which is about to unfold as the Marines are closing in. We do indeed see a lot of creep being cleared out. I was going to comment on the creep spread of HayprO because it is pretty impressive. And here come the Lings, but with no Banelings yet on the front line, with no Baneling speed, it's going to be hard for them to engage and get all the hits they need. But he may be going for the counter here. No, just hesitantly waiting for the right chance to engage, waiting for that one time where the Terran slips up his micro, gets out of position, and even is going to go for a flank with a ton of Banelings. This could be huge, but the Marines are split so well already. I doubt it will work. Here come the Banelings, here come the Lings from all directions. The Lings more important than the Banelings, having all the Banelings being split and microed against, and it looks like the Terran player will be able to clean up these Lings, and nicely done. Brilliant micro there, a brilliant split. It was a pre-split before the battle had started. Nonetheless, it was still brilliant, it was still absolutely necessary. And HayprO is going to take even more damage in the early game, and more Marines are streaming in 4 at a time, 5 at a time even, in waves and waves and waves, and HayprO will need to get some good Baneling hits off to deal with this, or the Mutas really actually won't really do anything for him at this stage against all of these Marines, and it looks like the Terran may back off, or he may press his advantage. We'll have to wait and see. He is pressing it. And this is going to be hard for HayprO to deal with. He is going to go in yet again, go after a small group of Marines. Oh, a mistake, splitting up the army there by our Terran player. Is going to see him get surrounded and surrounded again, and that is HayprO's chance to whittle down this attack to the point where it is no longer a big threat, and that should be the signal for our Terran player to go and walk on back to his base, although he does have a ton of units rallied in. Nice thing to note, while all this has been going on, while HayprO has been shitting himself, he has managed to scout out the base of our Terran player. You will see he is now moving back to clear out more creep, very, very intelligently clearing out the creep. And we do see, yeah, a Marine medevac tank player, it appears, will be the end result of all this. But important to note, the heavier bio focus than normal. Even though it will not be Marine Mortar medevac this game, it is important to note that the tanks are becoming less of the central unit and more of a support unit to the Terran army in this matchup. Okay, so we are going to see HayprO now with this third base finally going to go down yet again for the second time. Meanwhile, HayprO though does have a nice block of Mutas and possibly enough to kill that ball of Marines, but it would be a bit costly, so he is going to back out. And meanwhile, going in for the front as well, it looks like if this wall is actually not lowered, it would be pretty nice for HayprO to get in there, but he is just going to make sure there is no third mining. Is a third command center? Yes. But it is not mining, so not the biggest of deals with HayprO having 3 bases already mining. So as such, HayprO has managed to again hold, and again get himself a slight lead in this game. I say slight, there is a big harvester lead, but in general the army sizes are pretty similar. It's 3 base to 3 base, kinda. Sort of like 2.5 base Terran, because he does have 3 bases of mules. And, yeah, as such, it is not the most lopsided game in terms of HayprO's favor, but HayprO is certainly putting in a good showing for us today. And he is certainly ahead. We do see, I believe, the Overlord's speed upgrade is done. That is not the patch, that is their speed upgrade, so creep will be spread by Overlords, it appears, in the near future to allow for a ton of map control for HayprO. Yep, creep gonna be everywhere in a couple of seconds, gonna deny every single base on the map to prevent any expansions. And here we do see the Mutas again harassing, again gonna be beaten off by those Marines though. The Marines are not gonna have any of it, and they're gonna keep coming in back for more and more and more. And it appears though the Mutas are being contained quite nicely. Turrets are up all over the place, and the Terran player actually has a really, really good defense against this. He is comfortably turtled on 2 bases. The problem for him, look at those mineral patches. There are only 5 left. He is rapidly mining out 3 actually. Only 3 patches left. So he is about to be mined out at his main. He needs to land at 3rd base right about now, or he will be well and truly stuffed with HayprO now on 4 bases, well, about to be on 4 bases. And it looks like this Mutaflux is just getting scarier and scarier. Thors are being produced to counter them, which is quite a nice move, but this turret is going to go down in 2 shots, I believe that was, without a single Muta going down. So HayprO is certainly looking the scarier of the 2 players right about now. We may see another all-in push from our Terran player. We may see him just build up to 200 supply and slow push out across the map of 2 bases. I would suspect that a 3rd base would be a nicer option. But the slow push though looks like it may be his only option, as he is being limited so heavily. A 2nd factory is being added on to introduce a bigger mech element into the army. to allow for a sort of slow push strategy to be more viable. We'll have to wait and see if that is indeed the case. And we do indeed see a big push coming out for our Terran player. Probably going to secure a third base, then move out to secure the rest of the map, and hopefully push his opponent's base at the front door. And yeah, we do see the Marines with their 2-1 upgrades looking pretty scary. Although at the same time, HayprO you will see with the 2 attack upgrades, 1 armor, making the upgrades dead even. What is important to note though is that the Terran is continuing to upgrade a lot more than the Zerg player is at this stage, and will soon have a nice upgrade advantage for himself. Okay, so looking over to the left-hand side, we do see the base finally getting underway with its mining. Mostly guys at this stage, as is to be expected when you already have 2 other mining bases. More the 4th and so on bases don't mine minerals, but you know, there's a bit of mineral mining going on. A ton of harvesters still up, 87 in total for HayprO. And we do indeed see the third base going down for our Terran player, but will it be taken out by the Mutas? That would be amazing if it did happen for the Terran player. Sorry, for the Zerg player, for HayprO. But it looks like no, the Terran player was in position, and our unknown Korean Terran is indeed going to fortify this location. Got to save it for the time being. But oh, here come a ton of Bailings, a ton of Lings, and they may go straight in for, but no, they're going to come around for the back, try to flank the army. They're a bit indecisive, really. And it appears the Lings are going to go in for this base. The Bailings are going to wait back for a chance to hit that big Marine ball, as these Marines, without their tanks anywhere nearby and sieged up, are going to be so vulnerable to these Bailings. Okay, so the Mutaflock, meanwhile, is just waiting around getting some map control. The map control, by the way, is pretty good for HayprO, and here come the Lings. All of them are going in the tanks and not sieged up anywhere near here, and the Bailings are going to be so hard to stop. Going to hit every single unit, but mostly going onto the tanks and Thors. So the Marines are going to survive. The army of the Terran player is not yet dead, as the Marines, at their 2-2 upgrades, the Thor still existing, are enough to scare away the Mutas, so it will not be an easy win for HayprO. He will not clean out the game from here, but really, he is happy to trade at this stage. I believe a Bailing just hit off here? I'm not quite sure. But yeah, he's happy to trade at this stage. You can see already instantly maxing out on Lings. Back at his base, he has 2 1-Lings, but they're as good as anything now, 2 2-Lings. And they will be brilliant. They're basically an infinite supply now due to the base count of HayprO for the 5th base over here. And when you're 5 base to 3 base, you can afford to trade. He can afford to keep throwing units into the meat grinder as long as he gets something done with them. Really though, I'd like to see some Broodlords from him, as he is a bit late in his tech. That's understandable when your opponent goes for all-ins in the early game and somehow they result in macro games, but that's all cool. That's very fun to watch. And oh, the overlord positioning is so good. Gonna see this medevac full of Marines get one-shot by the Mutaflock. And that is why your overlord spread is so important as the great creep spread of HayprO as well. Okay, so we do indeed see the Mutas continuing to harass. They do have 2 attack upgrades, no more are on the way, but the important thing is a Great Aspire and Corruptors are on the way, and we all know that that spells Broodlords and disaster for our Terran player, as he has no real answer to them yet, as the only true answer to Broodlords is a Viking flock. Okay, so here come the Lings, going to clean up this army possibly. Oh, it depends on the angle they engage at, and the tanks are now sieged up. Going to help out them a ton against the Lings, but the Lings are going to be cautious. They're not going to charge in straight away, although they perhaps could. The numbers are quite nice for them, and here come the Infestors. Nice fungal growth, going to kill a ton of the Marines, and that should clear the way for the main charge of HayprO's army, and it is going to be a bit hesitant. Going to wait for reinforcement perhaps, maybe going to wait for the Broodlords, as they are but 10 seconds away from the morphing commencing. And in general, HayprO, as soon as he gets those Broodlords, he'll be completely safe from any sort of push with so little anti-air in it. And those fungals are so crucial in destroying that anti-air component of the army of our Terran player. And the Terran player is going to be sucked back, just going to be stuck in his little small hole here. If he unsieges, he could die instantly, so he's going to need a ton of reinforcements to be able to slow push. And here come those reinforcing tanks. Now 6 of them, the numbers have just doubled, and here comes the big push. Going to send 1 tank in straight away to harass the mineral line. Probably going to force HayprO to react. Whether he goes straight in or whether he just sort of sits back and pulls his drones away, we'll have to wait and see. But the Broodlords are now ready, and this is going to be really horrible for our Terran player to deal with. He has the Marines underneath them, though, getting 1 Broodlord, 2 Broodlords, 3 going down, 4 even. That was a big mistake by HayprO, but he appears to have the numbers regardless, and he's going to come in, Magic Box the Thor, kill the rest of the Marines off perhaps, almost. Although he is out of ground units, and oh, these Marines are going to be so sufficient against this air army. But there go the fungal growths. That is what he needed. But oh my god, the medevacs are so powerful that the fungal growths are being basically made irrelevant by the medevac healing. And suddenly we've had an even engagement. The Broodlords should have been unstoppable. They should have been. But of course the medevacs were there and the infestors were not there in great enough number. As such, they were indeed beaten down by Marines. Really, if the Lynx had been right underneath the Broodlords, that would not have happened. But oh, a nice pick up there, getting a free tank for his HayprO. And oh, a nice little choke positioning here for the Terran player as well. And of course, this round to be manually micro-advanced to the back. Meanwhile, more and more Lynx are streaming in from all directions. Corrupt is going to take out the medevacs, it looks like. Meanwhile, a Broodlord is morphing, going to die straight away though. And this is a really, really odd battle. Why is it so odd? I mean, the Terran player is continuing to push it, getting the 5th base down of HayprO. And that is going to allow the Terran player to feel quite comfortable, really. And if he gets his 3rd base, he will be in really good shape. The question is, can these Broodlords get up? Can they hold this off? Can they survive even? They're just dropping like flies to Marines with their 3 attack upgrades. And as such, it appears that Lings will be the only answer. And yes, the Lings finally are the answer. The Lings finally clear it all up. And we will indeed see the medevacs having to waddle on back home, will fly on back home. This tank better be picked up or it will die, and it will indeed die. It was about to be picked up, as you can see the guys are moving over to pick it up. But now we do have another scary army for HayprO, bringing in this Queens for the transfuses. I love that play. And we do indeed see Ling, Baneling, Infester, Broodlord against a mostly Marine composition of our Terran player. The Spines are going to delay this push here, but it appears the base will drop anyway, and that is going to decimate the economy of HayprO. After this, assuming that he actually gets the base, he might actually not get it in the end. The Banelings are coming in, they might be crucial, but no! Not getting close enough, of course, if they get those hits off, and the base will go down to focus firing. But the Fungal will indeed deny these Marines, sorry. And the Banelings getting some nice hits off too, so the Marines are basically dead over here. The important thing is, though, the economy of HayprO is tiny now, it's smaller than the Terrans. As such, HayprO better win with this army or he is stuffed. In saying that, we do see the Terran down to 1 base properly mining, but so his bases are mined out, so it is now an insanely long game, an insanely intense game, as we see the stage of the game where HayprO is really, really weak economically, but so is the Terran. The question is, who has the better army, who can do the most damage, who can be the most cost efficient at this stage, and oh my god, is this little spot cost efficient until you see a fungal growth going down. Nicely done by HayprO to get that Infestor in position. The Marines, of course, were nicely positioned too, so really both players playing at an exceptionally high level, as is typical of the Korean ladder. That is why I'm casting it for you guys today. Okay, so looking up at the top location, we do indeed see our Terran player is, yep, like I said, mined out, and just streaming in nothing but Marines and medevacs. He does have a couple of tanks in the field, but he is not, well, he is making actually more, sorry. But yeah, it's going to be hard for him, because Marine tank medevac does not really counter Broodlords, and while I had that before, and while the Marines got underneath them before, with enough Fungals, the Broodlords will be basically invincible if the Marines can stay out of range, if kiting is used as well. Baneling hits could end the game right about now, and really, if this army gets decimated, if this army gets taken out efficiently by HayprO, that'll be game. We do see the 5 bases being re-established by HayprO, however, to have up to 51 to 41. So HayprO, if he denies this space, which he is about to do, and if he kills this army, will win the game straight away. If he denies this space for long enough, he will win the game regardless. So really, all things considered, HayprO has come back away with the lead. And with the armies up on screen, the key thing is the Broodlords, and they will get tanks for free! Oh, that is so crucial, as every tank matters so much. The Broodlords even being microed, but here come a couple of Vikings, as we did see, needed for our Terran player, finally on the field. But they are going to be Fungals and corrupted. As a result, they will die, the first 2 will die. The numbers are not sufficient yet to hold this attack, and we do see the Terran going for the counter. He sees, oh crap, I can't kill his Broodlords, what can I do? I have a more mobile army than my opponent, I can counterattack. But the Lings and Infestors are going to go back to defend. Does the Terran know about this? I don't know, he could be caught out of position here, could be hit by Banelings and Fungals. That would spell death for him. And really, it's a question of whose army is the most successful. Can this army over here of HayprO, can I get the right hits off on this army of the Terran player? I don't know, I'll have to wait and see. It is in position to defend this mining base over at this location, which will be successful, I think, for the time being, in defending, in holding. And meanwhile, the natural, the main are being pushed. Meanwhile, the last mining base of the Terran is down. Can these Vikings be killed? There is a Corruptor over here, but they're not attacking together. But there are enough indeed. There's a second one here as well. They will kill that last Viking. Can this Corruptor be saved? No, it can't. But more and more Vikings could spell death for these Corruptors. Over here, the Lings and the Infestors did charge in. They did get some fungals off. They did get some hits off. But not enough, evidently, as the Medivacs are all still here, all healing up. And the Terran player might win this game after all of this. After both players being completely mined out, basically. The Terran player could win this game, but the Lings are still being made. The Lings are what HayprO has going for him. And here they come just charging in. All of them are going in for the kill. Can they kill this army? This army dies, the Terran player loses. These Broodlords die, or they're about to die. It's, then the Zerg player is pretty stuffed. So really, both players are in a pretty horrible spot right now. And there is the GG from HayprO, as with his main about to go. With his money all used up, he had a bit of gas, not too much. He did have mining, perhaps could have salvaged a win, unlikely against mules. And there is the GG from him. Okay, so his tech was about to go down, so I would have expected the GG when the tech died as opposed to just before it died. Not a big deal, this army just couldn't die. Why the Medivacs? The Medivacs are so crucial. And that was a pretty insane game. Welcome to the new channel, guys. I can't promise that all the games will be as intense as that one was. But I hope so. I hope so indeed. But also note, my new channel is going to be full of my own ladder games. Going to be full of other games that I play as well. Mostly League of Legends for the time being, I believe. That'll be a slow move away. Well, I don't mean moving away from Starcraft. I mean diversification. I will always be a Starcraft-focused channel for the foreseeable future. That is all I'm saying for now. And, of course, if you are new to me, if you are new to my channel, please subscribe. It's a new channel now, KommiGaming. Enjoy. Well, I hope you did enjoy it. Thank you.